Hey everyone, Diamond here. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to our first lesson PowerPoint presentation on kind of trying to incorporate COVID-19 and our mental and emotional health. Mental and emotional health, this is really going to be our first unit that we are going to spend a lot of time talking about. And, you know, in this day and age, in this society, a lot of people are so fixated in talking and thinking about our physical health that we fail to mention or even look at our mental health, which is very important. This piece today will be kind of incorporating COVID-19 and the effects of that on our mental and emotional health. Let's take a look at this video together.
Earlier, I spoke with Dr. Ken Duckworth, the medical director for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, to find out what questions we should be asking ourselves and our loved ones right now. Dr. Duckworth, we appreciate you joining us. These are really stressful times right now.
These are stressful and unprecedented times, and I think we're all having to contend with a mental health challenge. Even if you had no pre-existing mental health vulnerability, you're dealing with anxiety, unknowns, and potential terror about people you love who you know are vulnerable.
What are some of the impacts on mental health when you are told to practice social distancing, or better yet, stay in your home, go out in limited spaces, and not interact maybe as you used to do?
Isolation is bad for humans. We're social creatures, so I prefer the term physical distancing. You should stay away from people and figure out how to stay socially connected. So social distancing is not actually a good term. Physical distancing is what this is about. You need to stay in touch with your people, and you need to find out ways to do that. It's not easy to do because this is unprecedented, but use technology. The virus does not impact technology. FaceTime is a great technology to look at people that you love and care about. Stay close to your friends. Think about helping someone else. Most of us have elderly relatives or people on the street who may not be able to have access to the store. So this is a tremendous challenge. This is a mental health crisis across the nation.
What are some of the warning signs that maybe someone isn't doing well and needs help?
In terms of when you know somebody's in trouble, often they will tell you. Many people can reflect upon their own experience and say, I'm really losing it. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm having difficulty functioning. The traditional mental health framework is if you have trouble with functioning or relationships, those are two noteworthy areas that might be germane to saying maybe I should get back into therapy or maybe I should seek help.
Let's talk about resources that might be available that people might not be aware of.
Yeah, well, first of all, this was the best week in the history of teletherapy in American healthcare history. There's the National Crisis Text Line. You feel that your situation is more vulnerable. You text 741-741, the National Crisis Text Line. I was in communication with them this week. They are staffed up.
Doctor, we appreciate your time today, and good health to you as well.
So that little text message number, you can keep that in mind as well, and that's still helpful to all if you need it. So how can you guys as teens protect your mental health during coronavirus? And you guys might have already done some of these throughout the last few months, recognizing that having these anxieties is 100% normal, and you're definitely not the only one. Creating distractions, doing things, keeping your mind busy, finding new ways to connect with your friends, like they were talking about FaceTime, focusing on yourself, doing things that make you happy. Feel your feelings. Don't ignore them. Don't avoid them. Allow yourself to feel, because that's kind of like the first step of getting through. And being kind to yourself and to others. Let's watch this next video together. So I kind of really like that video because we all deal with stress in different ways, and we all carry stress and anxieties in our own way. And like they said, the water cup is the same weight, and it's just how long are you going to hold it. And it doesn't mean to forget about it or not think about it. It just means finding ways to cope with these stressors and anxieties that we have. And we're going to get into coping mechanisms and stuff like that later on in the unit. So what is stress? The response of the brain and body to anything, to any demand. A stressor is an event or a condition in your surroundings that may trigger or start up your stress. Acute stress, short-term stress that goes away pretty quickly. Chronic stress that lasts a lot longer for a longer period of time, weeks or months. Different types of common stress. Routine stress related to just daily pressure and responsibilities, right? You're in school now, so you got a lot of stuff to do, and this is definitely a different type of not normal school, and we're all virtual, so that can add a lot of that routine stress. And stress brought about a sudden negative change. Maybe you guys all thought you were going hybrid, and then all of a sudden we learned we were going virtual. So for some of you, that could have definitely been a negative change. For some of you, it could have been positive. And then traumatic stress happens when you're in danger of being seriously injured, an accident, being in war, or being hurt, or an assault. And this can actually cause what's called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which we will also be learning and talking about later on. So the stress response, some of you guys might have heard of it before, the fight, flight, freeze, fight or flight. It's your body's natural reaction to any danger. And it actually helps you react to threats or what you think are threats. It's automatic, and you cannot control how your body reacts. It instantly causes a surge of hormones and changes in your body that allow you to act really quick to protect yourself. And it's a survival mechanism. It's an instinct that was developed years and years ago by ancient ancestors. So if you ever heard of fight or flight, it's an active defense response where either you stay and fight or you run away. And your heart rate gets faster. It increases oxygen to your major muscle groups. Your pain perception drops, so you might not feel pain at that moment. And your hearing gets sharper. And in the freezing part is where you prepare yourself even further to protect yourself, but instead you stay completely still and get ready for the next move. Another short video for us. I'm trying to break it up as much as I can for you guys. About 4 minutes long. So let's take a look.
Cramming for a test. Trying to get more done than you have time to do. Stress is a feeling we all experience when we are challenged or overwhelmed. But more than just an emotion, stress is a hardwired physical response that travels throughout your entire body. In the short term, stress can be advantageous, but when activated too often or too long, your primitive fight or flight stress response not only changes your brain, but also damages many of the other organs and cells throughout your body. Your adrenal gland releases the stress hormones cortisol, epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, and norepinephrine.
We will learn more about these
later. As these hormones travel through your bloodstream, they easily reach your blood vessels and heart. Adrenaline causes your heart to beat faster and raises your blood pressure, over time causing hypertension. Cortisol can also cause the endothelium, or inner lining of blood vessels, to not function normally. Scientists now know that this is an early step in triggering the process of atherosclerosis, or cholesterol plaque buildup in your arteries. Together, these changes increase your chances of a heart attack or stroke. When your brain senses stress, it activates your autonomic nervous system. Through this network of nerve connections, your big brain communicates stress to your enteric or intestinal nervous system. Besides causing butterflies in your stomach, this brain-gut connection can disturb the natural rhythmic contractions that move food through your gut, leading to irritable bowel syndrome, and can increase your gut's sensitivity to acid, making you more likely to feel heartburn. Via the gut's nervous system, stress can also change the composition and function of your gut bacteria, which may affect your digestive and overall health.
So stress can actually
Speaking
make you
of digestion,
physically
does
ill.
chronic stress affect your waistline? Well, yes. Cortisol can increase your appetite. It tells your body to replenish your energy stores with energy-dense foods and carbs, causing you to crave comfort foods. High levels of cortisol can also cause you to put on those extra calories as visceral or deep belly fat. This type of fat doesn't just make it harder to button your pants. It is an organ that actively releases hormones and immune system chemicals called cytokines that can increase your risk of developing chronic diseases such as heart disease and insulin resistance. Meanwhile, stress hormones affect immune cells in a variety of ways. Initially, they help prepare to fight invaders and heal after injury, but chronic stress can dampen the function of some immune cells, make you more susceptible to infections, and slow the rate you heal. Want to live a long life? You may have to curb your chronic stress. That's because it has even been associated with shortened telomeres, the shoelace tip ends of chromosomes that measure a cell's age. Telomeres cap chromosomes to allow DNA to get copied every time a cell divides without damaging the cell's genetic code, and they shorten with each cell division. When telomeres become too short, a cell can no longer divide, and it dies. As if all that weren't enough, chronic stress has even more ways it can sabotage your health, including acne, hair loss, sexual dysfunction, headaches, muscle tension, difficulty concentrating, fatigue, and irritability. So, what does all this mean for you? Your life will always be filled with stressful situations, but what matters to your brain and entire body is how you respond to that stress. If you can view those situations as challenges you can control and master, rather than as threats that are insurmountable, you will perform better in the short run and stay healthy in the long run.
Okay, so I think pretty much a summary of that was that end part, right? We're always going to have stress. Sometimes we're going to have more stress, sometimes we might have less stress, but it's all about how we react to that stress that will either help us or maybe not so much. Maybe it might make things a little worse. So there are emergency stress stoppers, okay? There are actions that you can do to help lower and diffuse the stress in the moment. And there might be different ones for different situations, and sometimes you can do more than one at the same time. 1, count to 10 before you speak or react. Sometimes, and you guys can think about maybe yourselves or people you know, where you know something happens and you just word vomit and you can't stop yourself, right? Take a few slow, deep breaths until you feel your body unclench a little bit. Go for a walk, even if it's going to the bathroom and coming back. Meditate or pray if you're into that to get some perspective. If it's not very urgent or important, sleep on it and then respond to that the next day. Walk away, remove yourself from the situation, and then try and handle it later on. If there's a really big problem, try and break it down into smaller parts, smaller steps to make it more manageable for yourself instead of trying to tackle the entire thing at once. Listen to some music. I think that that's probably one of the number one ways that many of you guys like to help reduce your own stress is to listen to music. Take a break, pet the dog, go for a walk with the dog, hug someone you love, do something to help somebody else, and do something active. Work out, go for a walk, jog, play basketball, any other sport that you might be interested in. This next video is, it's an app called Calm. Just one little piece of it. I want you guys to try it out. Okay, it's kind of cool to help you lower your stress in the moment. Whoops. watch it as it increases. Breathe in and breathe out. So every time it gets big, breathe in. And out. So continue doing that. And I want you guys to try that one more time. Feel free to close your eyes if you want. Focusing on your breathing is probably the best thing to do in the moment to lower your reaction to stress the fastest. These are mindfulness apps, different apps that can help with your mental health. Calm is one of them, and what we just did was part of that app. Headspace, Simple Habit, and Smiling Mind. So feel free to download one of those and check them out, see if you like it. All right? That concludes this presentation. Move on to the next assignment, to the assessment part. And remember, you have 3 chances, and I take your highest grade.